All right, let's bring the city council meeting for September 10th, 2024 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Carter,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Swatman,
Present.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Present.
Councilmember Davis,
Present.
Councilmember Fullerton,
Here.
Councilmember Hubler,
Here.
Councilmember McClymans,
Present.
and Councilmember Rock.
Here.
All right. There are no agenda modifications. Seeing that there is no public hearing, we'll go on to citizen comments. That was fast. This is your time to address the council on city business. For those attending virtually, please click the raise hand icon at the top of your screen if you would like to address the council. Anyone with the raised hand icon or who called in your mics and cameras will be enabled. You will need to turn on your video and microphones on your end if you are wanting to be seen or heard. We will start with those who are here in person and move to the virtual comments afterwards. You have 5 minutes. State your name and address for the record, please.
Past council member Dan Decker. I live at 1 Monty Lake, Washington. Content neutral. I notice what I'm going to speak about is no longer hanging in the foyer. If that's the case forever, thank you, council, mayor, and attorney who gave the information to go forward. But I'm going to say that diversity must be neutral, and that print was not neutral, did nothing but embellish homosexuality, the Black Lives Movement, which in my opinion is a murderous group. And I'm saying that because their infamous quote, chant, "What do we want? Dead cops. What do we want? When do we want it? Now, now, now." Now, is that somebody or something that us, the council, want anything to do with?
I'm sorry. Is there a way to fix the mic?
You just need to pull it back. Stop
I
eating it.
can't hear.
Too close to your mouth. It should pick you up.
Not a banana.
Anyway,
There we go.
Perfect.
Okay,
better, thank you.
Yes.
Sorry for the feedback on that.
that's okay.
Anyway, I believe this diversity print is in violation of city policy 300.315 and the Federal Hatch Act. And I do thank the council, our mayor, and the city attorney and other attorneys who believe that this document was not content neutral. And I'm hoping that it stays gone because I won't be nice next time I speak on it if I see it. And I just want to say to Judge Daniels, please stop gaslighting the council. They don't deserve that kind of bad behavior. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. All right, we will now start those that are virtual. You have 5 minutes. State your name and address for the record, please. I don't see any hands raised. Okay, the city will now disable all video and microphones for those attending virtually. We do have one correspondence, Madam Clerk.
City Clerk's office received an online submission that was shared prior to the meeting with the mayor and the council from Jocelyn Parker asking council to remove the dotted passing lane on Angeline Road between 104th and 109th Street.
Thank you. Next is committee reports. Finance Committee, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee met this evening upstairs at 5 p.m. As always, public is invited. We had approved our minutes, and we had a great presentation by Mr. Scott Nall of the Mount Rainier Football Club, which is the MRAC organization, which has a proposal to possibly be a service provider for the city in Parks and Rec, or more specifically like rec area is what we were trying to say. So we'll see when Mayor gets through with his budget and everything, if what kind of proposals we can deal with out there, but there could be some cost savings issues to look at with those. It's always good to keep that on the horizon to understand where we could save the city and money and provide better service. That would be our goal. As always, personnel update was our second item. Nothing much going on over there. Standard stuff. You know, if you need any of that information, you can refer to the website for job openings. And our discussion item was, of course, the resolution 24-101, which is a MOU for the court to have someone come in to help us from Rainier Recovery Centers. And it's a no cost, true cost to the city. It's just it's going to be out of grant funds. So it's very little, like $150 a session type of a thing. Open discussion items for our committee. We have finally finished up with some suggestions for the proposed council policies and procedures, which are around the selection issues that we've been having with the mayor and or the council members. And Councilmember Fullerton authored a motion that the full council will be seeing shortly with the mayoral procedure and a collaboration between Councilmember Rock, myself, and again, Councilmember Fullerton, with a motion that's be suggested for council policies and procedures changes around just a regular council member vacancy. So we'll see those at the future council workshop at some point when time allows. Thank you.
Thank you. Community development, please.
Community development was supposed to meet last week and was canceled due to Labor Day weekend. We meet again next week.
Okay, thank you. Public safety committee, please.
Public safety, oh, sorry, let me get my little, hello, okay. Public safety met today upstairs on the second floor, just for updating. Next time we will meet on October 8th, also at 3:45 p.m. on the second floor. East Pierce emailed us a report, so if anybody's interested in looking at that, let me know. For Bonnie Lake Police Department, it looks like juvenile arrests are rising. However, that's just occurring across the state. And again, some of the problems, I've already brought this up before, but has to do with Raymond Hall not always taking juveniles. It really takes some pretty extenuating circumstances for them to accept somebody. Also, we have 3 things coming to consent agenda on the 24th. One renews an MOU between Puyallup and Bonnie Lake for the Tahoma Regional Task Force. Another adds Central Pierce Fire and Rescue to a master interlocal cooperation agreement. The cool part about this is it allows Central Pierce to be able to provide personnel resources and training to Metro SWAT. The third agenda bill is to remove SWAT from the current ILA and update language. It's pretty much just kind of cleaning things up. Because Metro SWAT has a separate ILA. Benefit of all of this is this has nothing to do with the budget at all, so nothing financial. We had an update on Allen York, and so one of the things that they are currently working on is trying to work with Park Mobile to create a reservation system for the athletic fields. Also, we've been, as a committee, we've been asking just how things are going because so many changes have been made in regards to how to control what has been going on at Allen York over the years. We've seen some positive impact. Interestingly enough, even through Google reviews, there's been less garbage and even alcohol pickup in the mornings when they go to pick up the trash. There's been less speeding. Really, the totality of all that has been done has rectified many of the problems at Allen York. However, after the season is over, the team will still come back together to reassess how things are going. From the prosecutor's office, the community court, currently they have 16 active participants. And so maybe mark your calendars because the next community court graduation is expected to be in November of 2024. We also did, sorry, I keep talking, but we did address the issue with the Parkers. For right now, we are in contact with them in regards to the concerns with Angeline Road. We do completely agree with what is happening there as far as just reckless driving and speeding and things like that. So right now we're trying to figure out what to do about that. So we talked a lot about that as well. And that would be it.
Thank you. I know Councilmember Fullerton has something and other reports, and I just want to throw out a thank you to Chief and the police department in particular. I am aware of a takeover of the intersection at 410 and Skyland Drive that occurred a couple nights ago as they were all driving by my house, about 200 cars. But the PD did a fantastic job of getting right on them. They had already been aware, I think they were coming up, but they did a great job of getting them dispersed and back out of the city. So a wonderful job right on top of it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Councilmember Fullerton. Yeah.
So for other reports, I did attend the Communities for Families Coalition on Thursday, and they're gearing up for the holidays. They'll need lots and lots of volunteers. They handed out a whole bunch of backpacks for schools, and they still are handing out backpacks. They're providing food services for a lot of people who are in need of food. So that was good. So that was a nice meeting. And then also I attended the local Bonnie Lake Lions Club meeting. They asked if I would invite the council to their 20th year anniversary celebration. And I was told that Sumner Mayor and some of their council members will be attending the party. It is on the 28th of September. So
do you know-
I'll hand out those flyers. It's only $10 for reservation. That includes your food and everything. And of course, we'd like to invite the public to that as well. So that's all I have.
Great, thank you. We now have the consent agenda. We have a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of adopting the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. We do have a full council issue. Item A, Madam Clerk.
This is item A, which is resolution AB 24-87. The council motion would be to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with Tyler Technologies to migrate the city's enterprise resource planning systems and authorize out-of-state travel for 2025 through 2027 to the Tyler Connect conferences and authorize extra hire and/or overtime to support this migration project.
Motion?
So moved.
Any discussion?
Are we having a presentation? Or no? We've got 15 minutes here. So
Okay.
It's a resolution. I guess, Chuck, did you want to speak to this issue? Okay.
So 22 years ago, the city implemented this software. It was one of the first things actually I did when I started with the city was, hey, we need to migrate to this software. It has been 22 years. It's been wonderful. All kidding aside, it's long in the tooth. It is outdated technology. It is client server based. It is slow. It's clunky. It's very repetitive in the processes that staff have to do. They have to post. They have to. It's redundant. There's much better software. There's newer software. There's newer technologies. This software is Tyler's flagship software. So Tyler is, in a sense, really a acquisition company. They buy the best software out there and they make it theirs, and then they sell it, and they sell it as, nowadays it's all sold as a service. It is cloud-based. We will not host this, so it does give us some disaster recovery because it's hosted in data centers through AWS, which is Amazon. Our main problem is Tyler announced Eden's end of support, which ends at the end of next year. So if we're still on Eden at the end of next year, we get no support. So if something breaks, we're out of luck. They will support Eden throughout this migration. So I'm projecting this project to take somewhere around 2 to 3 years. So even though support ends, because we're migrating, they still support us day to day in Eden and the new software until we've migrated across. This is our entire municipal package, basically. This is everything from HR, utility billing, planning and permits, payroll, all of our financials. This is kind of the complete municipal software package that we're talking about. So it is a very large undertaking. Tyler Technologies is the market leader in this space. They are kind of the municipal and local government 300-pound gorilla in the room. They do anything, anywhere from school bus tracking software, courts, they do police, they do records. Pretty much they have taken over the government, local government space. If you looked in the package, I've shown a large list of local, city, and some counties and water districts in Oregon and Washington that are currently on what it used to be called Munis. It is now called Tyler Enterprise ERP, and as well as a list of local agencies that were on Eden and have migrated to the same software package. So we're either in very good company or we'll all share the headaches and heartaches along the way. But it is what the city is recommending for migrating to, and I'm able to answer any questions that you might have.
I think we've been talking about it for a little while, so I think we might be okay.
Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
Thank you. All right, all in favor of resolution R20?
Oh, we're not talking about it anymore?
What was the discussion? Yeah.
Did you have a question?
I mean, who has this been being seen over time and things like, is it the finance committee?
We have,
Finance committee has met multiple times to discuss this. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And that we put it on full discussion or full council. So that you.
Mhm. Oh, okay. Well, normally if you put something onto full discussion, then there's some sort of concern or something that, or thoughts that you guys are having. So we're going to
It's a
share
lot of
them?
money.
when you're spending
Okay.
multi-millions of dollars,
Over the
generally I'd like the council to be fully
It's
okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a change in, like I said, the entire software for the city, basically, that they're doing, but they're being forced to do it because essentially they're not going to back up Eden
Have support.
anymore, support Eden anymore. So
Mhm.
we have to go to something. And Tyler is what this IT has said this is the way essentially to go, along with other services, like say, like he does everything. So Jason and Sherry, all the different departments would all move to this.
Mhm.
So it'll be a huge project, and it's going to occur over how long?
2 to 3 years. It will be the migration process, and all the departments that are affected also had demos of this software back in like February. We had Tyler come out for an entire week and demonstrate this software to everyone who would benefit from this, or maybe not benefit from it, but those that will have to go through this migration process. And other than, obviously, there's always going to be some fear of change. The overall attitude was, that's amazing software. I don't want to get there, but I want to use it right now. So there was positives. Of course, demos are meant to be positive. They're supposed to show you all the great things and not, all the hard work it takes to get there. But there's just a lot of time savings that the new software eliminates that our old software we have to do manually.
Who's on the finance committee?
Deputy Mayor, Councilmember Hubler, and Councilmember Fullerton.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts?
I specifically, my thoughts were that we literally have the staff coming to us because they're saying that this is the best option. Deputy Mayor Swatman did ask if we had taken other bids. However, because this is really not a new purchase, it's just kind of integrating into the system that we already have. We didn't really need bids, but there are no other companies that offer all of the services for the whole entire city. You would have to get like maybe software from this company, software from this company, software from this company to be able to make it work for the whole entire city. But because Tyler has purchased all of the rights to all of these different softwares, they've kind of migrated it into one system. And so it will work for the whole entire city. So my thoughts on this was that I have to go with what the staff needs are and what the recommendations of the staff. And this is what the staff is asking for. And yes, it's expensive, but there's no software out there that's going to cost less than this. And we did, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago, you realized we were going to need to switch out. So you started saving and setting aside. So that's where this, there's $300 here that's in the current budget balance. That was just from saving. because we knew that we were gonna
300,000.
have-
We're close.
But
You said
that's,
$300.
yeah, oh, sorry, 300,000.
300,000.
I meant, yeah.
I was like, you did not save enough.
No, we did not.
It was 50,000 a year for the last 5 years or so, but they ended up saving that so that it would help to offset the cost when we had to switch over. And we really don't have a choice. I mean, we need to switch over, otherwise we're going to lose all of our support and we will not have any ability to run the Eden, which is what we have right now. And so
Yeah.
it was just kind of like it needs to happen, but because the money was such a large amount that's being budgeted for this, we felt like we should at least put it out there in the public and let the public be aware of why the money needs to be spent and what it is for, and that we have saved, to offset some of the cost, but then also get council's let you know that we're not just passing bills to pass bills and spend money.
And almost $1 million
Yeah.
on this, so.
Councilmember McClymans.
How much a year was Eden?
220 some.
Well, no, Eden is cheaper because we host it and I handle all the database and it's sitting on our server. This is hosted in the cloud and they handle database maintenance. So there's hosting costs as well.
Kind of, you're still responsible.
I'm still responsible, but not as there's that line.
Uh-huh.
Eden was about $140,000 a year. So this is definitely an increase. This is about 220 annual.
It has more features though, I
It
thought.
does have more features, and we're taking this opportunity to also bring in some other items that, like for example, the police scheduling is a totally separate software package. That's part of this, so that part will go away and it'll be part of Tyler. It's already part of Tyler, but it will give efficiencies because when they do their schedule, it's on the employee's timesheet instead of having to request time off in their their scheduling software, and then also request time off here and enter a timesheet here. But my schedule's already made. There's a lot of efficiencies and some software that we're cutting because we ideally will be going with this.
I think a big part of the efficiencies too, I think Jason could probably speak to in regards to the permitting aspect. And right now, everything looks very nice from the front end of our system, but on the back end of the system, it's all very user not friendly, essentially. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what I can basically say on the front end, it looks like we're doing online permitting and online submittals. On the back end, it's still the old analog system. So when someone goes to the permit counter and fills out that seamless form that looks really cool, it does not talk to Eden. So when the permit tech gets that form, they basically have to pull it up on their computer, turn around, hand key all that information into Eden, then reach back out to the applicant to let them know what their fees are because the seamless form can't count the fees, and then wait for them to pay us through Eden to pay for their application. When someone pays through Eden, it does not send an email to the permit center that says, hey, I've paid, process my application. So there's been times where applications have sat because we do our check at say 1 o'clock and they come in at 5 o'clock and we don't get it till a day or two later. So it will really speed up and really kind of make that more efficient. And our current staffing levels in the permit center assumed that we were moving that way. We eliminated a permit tech about 2 years ago because we knew this was on the horizon. It was supposed to have already happened. And we knew we were going to get away from having the permit techs have to hand key in every single application that comes through the permit center and then hand key in every single fee. And either taking phone, payments over the phone or having to contact people for payment. So there's lots of staff efficiency that's gained when people are actually typing on that online application and it going directly into the permitting software.
And I think Sherry wanted to speak as well here.
I did. Thank you. Sherry here. Another efficiency is a budget book. That's another addition that Chuck has put into this. The budget book takes me, it's 300 pages. It takes about 2 months to put together, and this software will do it. I think the most important addition that this software brings that Chuck hasn't talked about, and this will probably prompt him to talk about, is the ability for council to dig into the financials and kind of look at certain invoices and what was paid. Chuck can probably tell you a little bit more about that than I can at this point, but I think that's a really cool feature too.
Yeah, so basically there's a Councilmatic kind of open government piece to this where you all will have logins to this system that if you have questions about, well, I'm seeing a total of vouchers of, where's the number? 1.2 million. Well, what is that? Well, you can dig into any voucher. You can look and see what was paid, where it was, what part of the budget was paid, where did it go? You have complete access to look into what your government is doing, as opposed to just saying, okay, well, we paid 1.2 million. And then have to ask, well, what was that? You can find it yourself. So you'll be able to dig in and look at that information.
And Chuck, isn't that same access into the permitting system to see what permits are coming in the door, who's applying for what that permit is?
Yeah,
Council would have
it's
direct access to all that
Yes.
information.
So it saves a staff cost too, because then we won't have to rely on calling up Sherry or Jason every time we need to know numbers or something. We can see it ourselves.
Councilor
Have a
Baldwin.
question? Do you want to ask first?
No.
You want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, I acknowledge very much so that Eden is an ancient system and none of it is, it's not cool if it's not talking to each other and is, difficult to access. And I know it's frustrating even for citizens to deal with some of our technologies that we have here in our local government. It does give me just slight pause. So I feel like I have to at least mention it. But I'm hearing that Tyler Technologies is, at the top of their game. To me, it sounds like they have almost like this weird local monopoly over some of the technologies, which is very strange to me. Something that also seems a little strange is that they're the leader in government, technologies, and then now they're going to have this government data on their servers because it's not going to be on our servers, it's going to be on their servers. That doesn't give anybody pause.
And let me try and clarify just a little.
It gives me pause.
It's
You were
it's
saying
not
that, I was
on their servers.
All public
And
information, though.
They don't technically have access to our data without requesting access and having IT or an end user provide access while we watch them do what they're doing. So it is on AWC. So it is in
AWS.
Amazon's cloud, but it is segmented and separated, and they don't have access to our data. And we have a data sharing agreement as part of this stating that it is our data. So it's not, we're not giving the keys to the kingdom and say, yeah, you guys do whatever you want with it.
I do have follow-up questions, but I'll let you go ahead and ask a question.
Councilmember Davis.
Okay, so I was just going to ask for council member access to what you guys were talking about for financials. Is there a multi-factor authentication that's within the system to help security? So
Yes,
if we were
and the way it is set up, it's your choice. So you can use your Apple account to connect to authenticate in. You can use your Google account. You can use your Gmail account. It has modern authentication built in, and you can use two-factor authentication as well.
Thank you.
How long has Tyler Technologies been around?
Tyler Technologies has been around since the 1980s.
Uh-huh.
When it started, they sold lead pipes. So they have not always been a software company. In fact, it was in the late 90s is when they bought Munis, and they shifted and became a software company. And since then, they have their acquisition company. They have bought Intergov. They have bought OneWorld, which is huge in police. They bought Eden. They bought Eden in the early 2000s, shortly after we had migrated. Eden was a local company, started in Renton from Renton software engineers. But they buy other software platforms and they integrate it into theirs. So all their stuff talks. And then they sell it and they make their money not so much in sales, but in maintenance. Maintenance is their huge revenue. Last I saw, they're like 1.2 billion a year in maintenance revenue across everything. They have over 3,000 Munis customers across the country and part of Canada. Eden at its heyday had about 240. So an entirely different sized organization.
Go ahead.
Have they ever had any security breaches and things like that in their history?
Yes. I mean, you'll be hard pressed to find probably a software company that hasn't. It was 2 or 3 years ago, they did have a software breach. It did not affect any of the clients. It was their corporate system that was breached. But yes, they have had one.
Yeah. Everybody does.
I do have 2 more questions, but if you guys have questions, go for it. Go ahead.
Mayor Swalman?
Question yet? No, just maybe to help out a little bit of the background, because, it's one of these issues that I kind of view that what you're looking at to me is a means and methods kind of issue that staff is working with, because as long as we're satisfied with the output of staff that's providing value to the public facing piece, that we don't really get to, from a legislative perspective, for me to tell the staff how to do that job internally, right? So they're coming to us and saying, hey, this is a product we want to use. I can look at it kind of sideways and say, well, maybe, because of the technology people in myself, I would
Yeah.
do it a little bit differently, but I can't, it's not my job. As long as Sherry and Chuck and the permitting and the police and everybody are getting the job done well, do I get to tell the police officers what style of gun or weapon or whatever that they have to use? They come to us with recommendations and say, this is what we want to use, or the car we want to drive or whatever. So yeah, maybe there's 200 ways to slice this cat, right? This is the staff's recommendation. They're doing a great job. Yeah, it's expensive and it's fun, but okay, I guess. What else is the alternative?
Right.
Yep, thanks.
Councilmember Hoopler.
That's kind of where I was gonna go with that. It's either we find a system that we piecemeal and they may or may not talk, or we go with one that everything's integrated together where it will all talk together and they'll have more efficient everything. The price tag is hefty, but
Yeah.
that is the worst part of it. But I think everything else would benefit the citizens and the staff and us to be able to see everything.
Councilmember
You had a question?
Lyons?
Yeah, so does our insurance cover data breaches?
Yes and no. So we do have cyber incident response insurance. It is at a certain level that WCIA provides. It's based upon how well I answer a WCIA cyber insurance audit questionnaire that is then fed to their, so we kind of get ranked. Right now we're at the best pool, which is not very much. It is about $200,000 per incident. So we would be covered for $200,000. There is a city portion that we have to pay first, and then they cover the next 200,000. And I don't have that on the top of my head. I think it's somewhere around $100,000, but please don't quote me on that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just, so you stated that it's not a shared tenancy.
Correct.
You're a single tenant. Is it GovCloud?
It is.
Do you know what IL you are?
I don't.
Okay.
Techie.
What?
Techie.
So are you.
What?
Nerds.
Councilmember Baldwin.
I wasn't gonna ask.
Last questions I have are just about the financial piece of it. Yes, it is looking like it's nearly $1 million, but which I think is fair for the package that you're getting and everything like that. But with the negative 670,000 that you're still needing, and it did say that it would be provided by the ending fund balance, and I have heard that before.
Mhm.
So that's always interesting to me. But is that actually for sure? And then also you said that they make money based on maintaining
Mhm.
systems.
Yes.
And so is that a part of the package, or is that above the 900?
No, the first year maintenance is part of this.
Okay.
So, and that's somewhere around 220,000 a year and change per year.
Okay.
Forever.
And that's their bread and butter.
Yep.
I mean, were we paying that yearly?
About 140.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
it's a, I won't call it a slight increase, but to me, that's a large increase, but
That's more.
in looking at where we're getting cloud storage, we're getting it hosted. It's not terrible.
Okay.
Sherry, did you want to speak to this?
I can talk about ending fund balance,
Oh.
Councilmember Baldwin. Actually, I'm gonna kind of get into the nitty gritty of ending fund balance on September 24th when we meet to talk about the budget process and kind of what funds are and kind of a budget 101 plus. So I'll get more into it then, but basically that's where you took the money out of for the property you recently bought from the water department. Off the top of my head, I think you have about $22 million in there. So there is the 670,000 in there to use it for. Ending fund balance should be used for one-time expenditure. So this is a
Say that
great
out loud.
use of that purchase.
Remember that? Are you gonna? Yeah.
I got it. Okay. Any other questions?
I'm all out.
Okay, very good. All right, all in favor of resolution R24-87, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
This is item B, which is motion M 24-60. The council motion would be to direct staff to submit the August 2024 version of the community development element to the Department of Commerce and to include it in the final version of the comprehensive plan.
So moved.
Thank you, thank you. Discussion? Jason, do you want to speak to this?
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor. Before
Who
we get
motioned and seconded, sorry.
Sorry,
Mary was second.
yeah, McClymonds was first. Baldwin second.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we get into the details, I do kind of want to give councils an overview real quick and then kind of what the council's options are. So as you know, we've been working to update our comprehensive plan. And by statutory, we're required to have that done by December 31st. By December 31st, which is why we're trying to bring these elements as fast as we are through the council. However, we do know that there are a lot of policy changes in the document. And if council wants to take additional time, they can. There is just that risk. Well, if we take more time, we will fall over that December 31st deadline. The implications of falling over it by a month or two or even 3 months is probably not going to be as horrific if you didn't do anything. There are a number of cities in the Puget Sound region that are going to miss that deadline. I know Puyallup is talking about the fact that they're going to miss it. Tacoma is talking about the fact that they're going to miss it. What it does do is it makes it more challenging for us to apply for grants, say between January 1st and March 31st, if that was the window that we needed. It would unlikely affect any grants that we've already been awarded because the granting agencies aren't going to go back and ask Commerce, are they done? But it would have a proactive effect going forward. if you say you didn't do anything for 2 years, then you're getting into the more sanctions and things that the bad things I've talked about. And I only bring that up because while staff is working really hard to get this done, we feel like we're doing the best we can to balance council's desires and council's concerns with what we're receiving from the Puget Sound Regional Council and the Commerce for requirements. We also don't want to feel like we're painting the council into a corner, because ultimately, and I forget who said this when we updated the parks plan, going forward, these are the council's policies. They're not staff's policies. They're the policy of the city council that staff will be using as a roadmap for the work that we do on development regulations, processing permit applications. And so if the council needs more time and we're willing to risk that 90-day window, because if we don't move this one forward tonight, the other ones start to slip because we'll need to go back and work on this one, which is fine. We just kind of want to know that direction from the council tonight. We can answer any questions, because at the end of the day, while this may be a hard decision, we want at least the council to have the conversations, the discussions with us to make that most informed decision. As I said, we're trying to be by December 31st, which actually is December 10th for us, because that's typically the last council meeting. But we also want council to have the ability to feel that they have the time to work on these things and make the best decision they can, given the policy framework. So yes, December 31st is a statutory timeframe. Yes, there's risk if you fall over it by 1 or 2 or 3 months. You would not be the only community, as I said. I know there's multiple communities. I know PSRC is expecting cities to fall over and are kind of moving some of their applications to later in the year to let cities have a little bit of a cushion there at the beginning of the month. I only raise that because I also know it's budget season and trying to get through not only this element, but environmental stewardship, transportation, community facilities and services, and pass a biennium budget all in the next, 3.5 months is a tall order for the city council. So I don't want the council to feel pressured to have to take a vote tonight, but we did set it up so that we could and move forward that way. We didn't have a PowerPoint because I did not know how to put a PowerPoint together for this size of a document. That would not be 300 slides. And
Oh my God.
I would look at the dais and people would be like,
Thank you. Yeah.
half asleep. So that was intentional. What we did do, and I talked with Councilmember Fullerton about this, if you turn to page 300 of your packet, I laugh when I say that because it is what it is.
It's good work.
It's a lot of work, but it's really thick. We did prepare a matrix that has the current policy, what the proposed policy is, and the implementing MPP, CPP. MPP for the vast viewing audience stands for Multi-County Planning Policy, and that's what comes from Vision 2050 through the Puget Sound Regional Council. CPPs are countywide planning policies that come through the through the Pierce County Regional Council, which Councilmember Fullerton serves on. Of course, RCW is the Revised Code of Washington, and WAC is the Washington State Administrative Code. What's in the document is the complete community development element. We've talked about a number of the topics, which included the growth strategy, property rights. The new information tonight that you haven't seen is the housing information, which is included in there. It includes the 3 appendices, which are adopted by reference, which is the buildable lands analysis, which we've already presented, the growth strategy, which we already presented, and the housing equity report, which we were required to prepare under the Growth Management Act. Lots of information, lots of stuff. That's why I wanted to give this little preview before we get into the nitty-gritty. So if council needs more than tonight, that's fine. Just let us know and we can slow down that calendar. I just wanted to make sure we all understood what the implications of that were.
Councilmember McClymans.
I did not finish my homework and I would appreciate extra time.
It is a big packet. There's a lot to dive into. I'm thankful for staff.
Councilmember Fullerton.
Yeah, so Jason, when we spoke today, you directed me to go to page 321, which is basically this is really well put together. that these are existing goals that we have from 2015 to 2035. And then there's the new policy changes, which came from PSRC.
Well, yeah, yes, they are the policies that rewrote or kept in order to ensure consistency with one or more of those larger policy frameworks that we have to demonstrate consistency with.
And then these are essentially, a lot of this is, some of it's coming from state legislature, some of it's coming from PSRC, some of these changes. And so if you go to like page, let's see, was it 324? 320. Or was that one I was talking to you about?
I think I know which one you're talking about.
The childcare.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that one.
Past 321.
Yeah, it's past 321. But so basically if it's blank on the right side,
It's
right, then it got added to the left.
Yeah, so if it's blank in 2015 in the two columns for 2015 means the policy doesn't it currently exists in any form in the comprehensive plan.
Right.
If it's blank in the 2024 column means we've removed that policy. If we did move it, there's a note over the note column of where we moved it to. And that really happens kind of on the housing element, which started on page 330. And the reason that we want council to really dive into this is my bigger concern is if we come on December 3rd thinking we're done, because you think this packet's large, when I bring you the whole comprehensive plan in one vote, it's going to be a 500 or 600 page packet.
Yeah.
If not more, because it's going to be all the appendices, all of the everything, and it's going to be quite robust. So we can answer any questions if there are on policies.
Councilmember McClymans, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, so I need to understand from legal counsel, the relationship of the city with some of these other entities. Because the way I understand it currently is the city is a creature of the state and not of the county, nor of the Puget Sound Regional Council. So I kind of want to understand our relationship and our obligations.
You can handle that?
I can handle that one.
Mm-hmm.
So we are a creature of the state.
Mm-hmm.
The state, when they amended the Growth Management Act, added language in the Growth Management Act that comprehensive plans are required to be consistent with both countywide planning policies and multi-county planning policies. That's in the RCW. I can't remember the exact name, but it's in 3670A, one of those sections that says, hey, when you're doing your comprehensive plan, those comprehensive plans have to be consistent with countywide planning policies and multi-county planning policies. So we have to do that consistency check. When we submit to the Department of Commerce, they're checking our comprehensive plan for consistency with state law. Now, Department of Commerce currently does not have what I call an active certification process, which means when we give them our comprehensive plan, it is assumed valid upon adoption. And if they want to challenge our comprehensive plan, they have to challenge that within the appeal window through the Growth Management Hearings Board. You may win, you may not, but they don't have an active certification process. But if we don't turn in a comprehensive plan at all, then we're taken off the list and we can't apply for any state grants or state loans. And there's also some sanctions that a city could be hit with, like you don't get REIT, you don't get sales tax. There's only been one time in the state that I know of that got close, and that was Chelan County. When Chelan County said, we will not do a growth management plan, we will not adopt it. They were almost sanctioned. The planner that was with the Chelan County at that time is sitting in this room. So if you really want to hear the gory details, city administrator voted all the gory details because it happened when he was back working for Chelan County. So we know it has happened. The way it works with the Puget Sound Regional Council is if you do not submit a comprehensive plan for them to certify, then you're not eligible for any, and they have an actual active certification process through kind of our interlocal agreement with them to be the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which are required to have by federal law. But if you don't go through their process, then you're not eligible for any grants that flow through the Puget Sound Regional Council, which includes like the grant we have currently for Safe Streets, the grant we have for the Angeline roundabout that we're also looking for them to fund the construction of. We would not be eligible for those granting processes. I would say, so that's the relationship. By federal law, there has to be a metropolitan planning organization, and it's not planning in the sense that we think of. It's more transportation planning to receive federal transportation dollars from the United States Department of Transportation, which is where they get the money that they give to us for the Angeline Roundabout, the Safe Streets program. So those are the two relationship, I guess, between the two entities. One is more grant funded and transportation funded focus. The other one is all of the things that we get from the state of Washington.
Thank you. Councilmember Hubler.
Just a few cleaning up. Some of those, some of them, the words are cut off halfway through.
That was probably more formatting in the.
Just making sure that we can maybe see those, because some of them I can tell what they say, but hopefully there's nothing after.
Okay, we can look at that.
Deputy Mayor Swanton.
So, I read pieces of it, of course, and tried to digest the gigantic parts of it. I haven't been through every corner of it. The planning agency went through most of this already, I take it, or is this something that they deal with before us?
Yeah, the Planning Commission has reviewed it a couple times.
Okay. Yeah. What I'm wondering, because I was kind of focused on some like the data stuff. So the housing equity report was kind of fascinating. Of course, has some interesting information in it. But for the council, like say page 237, right? I don't know if anybody care to look at that one, right? So they took some census table data, I gather, to make up that page. Trolling. And so they had 2011 figures and 2012 or 2021 figures on there. I kind of don't have a full idea where they got their data from, because the census data is publicly accessible. You can kind of traipse through it, but they didn't really identify the blocks and tracks that they were using to gather that data with there. So I was a little bit concerned about being able to come up with the numbers, because if you look at that, does that actually pass the giggle test to anyone if they're looking at that page and saying, oh yeah, that page is right?
Well, the data comes from the Census Bureau.
Yeah.
But it's the American Community Survey. And so they have additional data sets that are in addition to the door-to-door census that is done every 10 years. And that's why the source is noted right below the table.
Yeah.
And so what it is, it's not a track by track. It is the statistical average based on from the American Community Survey for the city of Bonnie Lake. It's not a track by track data source. It's
or a block by block.
Or block by block. It is just city of Bonnie Lake.
Well, well. Yeah, I'd be interested to see where the data source is, basically, because I don't see anybody that can look at that page and believe that those figures are correct, because I find it hard to believe that that income level is being is true. And the reason I mention that is because they build on the policies within this document. And I had a question about how there's that one's recommended policy changes in there. How do those work out then? Because it says, the current policy is X, and then this is a challenging or whatever policy, and this is the recommendation for that policy. So how does that process work?
So that gets into that table that we prepared on the back end where we show the current and the proposed policy. That table that starts on 321. all of the data in here wasn't created by staff. It's all
Yeah,
ACS
Yeah,
data.
right, yeah. Mhm.
And if you want to see the source, it's right below the table. So the table
Yeah, but
exhibit,
this-
exhibit
what-
A is,
right,
is,
I know.
is ACS table
Yeah,
S
yeah,
1903.
Yep.
How the United States Census Bureau tabulated and got the data, we don't know and we'll never know because it's the
Yeah.
U.S. Census Bureau. But these are not this isn't data we went out and created. It's just
Right, yeah, I know.
it's a
that.
representation of the data that we got from
Right.
those different tables in the American Community Survey.
Yeah, but I think the point is and they reference some of those, that they're very large data sets and they're really hard to apply to City of Bonnie Lake. And they actually, at points in time says that, well, we can't apply that because these data sets are just too large and they don't make sense when you're pulling out a little tiny city like Bonnie Lake.
We agree. The only other option we would have had is to spend
Right.
millions of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dollars to do our own.
Well, we just bought this great software, so maybe it can do some of this work for us.
I will
Um,
I will say that this was, the
Yeah.
Department of Commerce was happy with the level of data that we had in here.
No, yeah, and that's fine. It looks really cute, but how does that work in the end with that? My worry is how it drives the policies and goals, right? So if you're looking at the policy evaluation area there, if you go down to like 266 or whatever, page 266 in your packet, and then you talk about your goal and your policy, the goal of CD2 is da, 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 and they say the finding is neutral, it could be. What does that mean, though? Does that mean we're going to change that language with that goal, or how's that going to flow out there?
I think, so the way that we tried to structure this, one of the things that was required under the Growth Management Act that was amended by House Bill 1220 is we had to look through our current housing policies
Yeah.
and land use policies and determine if they had
Right.
what racial disparate impact that policy created.
Mhm.
And so to try to come up with a way to look at this in a balanced approach was if a policy that we felt had didn't have an impact one way or the other,
Mhm.
it got
Yeah.
listed as neutral, and we provided consider this as you adopt
Sure.
change the policy.
But when are we going to actually adopt those policies?
So that's what's in the table. So if you were to look back in that matrix
Mhm.
that I was telling you about, all of the current policies are in here and how we propose to change them are in here. So,
There.
321.
Page 300 and some odd or something.
321 to 338.
Yeah, so CD10, I think is a good option. I just pull that up real quick because I know that one's.
So you're saying that the proposal is to go from one to the other?
Right. So if you were to go to, I'm just looking this one up real quick for you. So I can show you how it works. We're just getting to the right page.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you go to page 334.
334?
Yep. So in the housing equity report, goal CD10 was found to be supporting, meaning we don't feel it created a racial disparate impact in housing choices.
Mhm.
It could be strengthened to include identifying housing needs for current and future residents. So then if you go to page 334, as I mentioned, you'll see in the middle two columns, CD10, and it currently has the current policy, which is provide a variety of housing options that meet the needs of all Bonnie Lake residents and are affordable economic segments of Bonnie Lake. The proposed policy would be provide a variety of housing options that will meet the needs of all Bonnie Lake's current and future residents and are affordable to all economic segments of Bonnie Lake. So the housing ec report just identified policies that we need to look at from either
Right.
we need to get rid of it. So other things that got changed were, we can't really use the term single family anymore because one, we can't define what a family is, right?
Well, yeah, right.
Right. So that's
one that kind of jumps out there, right?
right.
So is that going to be a big problem? Because that was one thing that really jumps out at me on that thing, right? That was one of my kind of like,
Yeah,
whoa, we can't call it single family anymore.
We've
gotta
got
call housing.
We call it
units.
detached housing, and it's because we really can't define.
I can.
We can't really legally. We can't.
Why not?
Because
Where it's illegal to have single family
No,
homes?
it's
I know the state would like us to get rid of them, right?
no,
Yes.
it's illegal just to define what a family is.
No, I don't think so, but
Jennifer's online.
yeah, when we make it illegal, then we're probably
under federal law, we can no longer define what a family is.
Yeah, but see, when that's the core of the issue of what Bonnie Lake is. I was trying to, make sure that we look at those policies very carefully because I don't want to destroy the single family concept within Bonnie Lake, right? Ultimately, whether you have to call it single family or not, when you change the language, you change the issue. So when you're going from a single family concept to like, oh, we have housing units. Well, that's great. I live in Burien. I live in a housing unit. Oh no, I live in a what? A detached what?
We just call it a detached housing unit.
Right. Yeah. So you're changed. That's the hard part with
I guess
what is Jennifer going to say for her $240 an hour so far? Where you at?
Well, and I'm happy to weigh in on that. So I just wanted to let Deputy Mayor know that Jason is right. In 2021, the legislature passed a new law, ESSB 5235. I just actually gave some advice. I've got a client on this, so I had it at my fingertips, and it made it so that you cannot change the definition, or you cannot define a family as a single housekeeping unit, people related by blood or marriage, which was the very typical definition in most cities' codes. So in 2021, I updated several cities' codes definitions just to change the definition of family under their land use codes to make it be basically any one or more people that want to, whether related or not, that want to occupy a dwelling unit living as a single housekeeping unit. I mean, so you can't relate it. That's just any group of people that choose to live together. And so a lot of cities actually at that time put in, or some cities put in occupancy limits for their code consistent with the federal law. But at any rate, Jason is right. The family, you really don't define it for land use purposes. You can certainly define it for other purposes, but for land use code and housing purposes, you cannot define it as people related by blood or marriage because the state of Washington legislature said so. So
Right. Yeah.
Not,
Because
not
ultimately-
federal, but state.
Well, no, the feds have
this,
also
this
said
is the state of Washington. Like I said, engrossed second substitute bill 52, or engrossed second Senate bill 5235 passed in 2021.
and it's also partly in there in the federal statutes around fair housing, the fair housing statute. That's where like the clean and sober housing comes from. There's been numerous case laws on that as well. So it's kind of coming from both. And then the state's kind of Washington really passed it directly on the head for us, which is why we got rid of the term.
Is it federal or is it not federal?
Well, it's state.
It's just state.
Nice.
So we're just,
It's
We have to-
both. It's both.
so we have to do word salad then. Okay, we're changing names and definitions of everything on the planet.
Right.
Okay.
I would point you more to what you're going to see as the outcome. And that's really goes back to that land use strategy that we talked about in the growth strategy. We're keeping the R1 zone and we're zoning most of the city the R1 zone. The housing types that we're going to allow in there are detached housing, which is a housing unit by itself, right? A house. Two townhomes, cottages, and attached housing, no more than two. And so that was what we proposed under the growth strategy, which the council adopted back in May.
Hopefully I'll get some more time to go through each one of these. Not tonight.
Councilmember Hubler.
My understanding and is trying to dive back in through all this is it wasn't to say that, the family unit isn't the important. It's that, say Aaron wants to buy a house with a buddy and they want that to be a home that they rent out together. So it becomes a single unit, not a family housing. So it takes out that it has to be like if City of Bonnie Lake says you can only have families in that house, like my CCRs in my neighborhood actually say that. And so like if I wanted to move my adult children in and a grandparent in, they would say, no, you can't do that.
So they're in violation of the law.
Which exactly, but that's why they changed the code so that it's if Councilmember Fullerton's like, hey, I've got a mother that I want to move into my home, nobody can tell you you can't because they changed the name of it, not that you can't have it for your family or whatever. It's just the name change and
3 friends went to get together and
roommate.
buy a
Yeah.
house together and live together because.
Yeah. And they all shared separate bedrooms or whatever.
Yeah, and that's because that's that's their familiar relationship. It just kind of come down, you can't define it in the strict terms that used to be done, which is why we're just dropping the term.
Okay.
Which presents challenges when you rent out your home to 3 different individuals, right?
Not necessarily.
It's a
Okay.
detached unit.
Well, so,
It's a house. It's
yeah.
not a
yeah, that's fine. That's okay. I just, when,
family.
good luck.
This is why we gave that big proviso at the beginning, because I knew this was not going to be easy.
Councilmember McClymans.
I'd like to make a motion to table this till the next workshop on September 17th.
Second.
All those in favor of tabling motion M24-60, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Good.
5-2, yes,
Yeah.
that's usually a
Yeah.
pass.
Go
Just so we're clear on what, we're not going to prepare any more materials. We'll just have Sadie put this packet in. That means I will not bring environmental stewardship that night because we're trying to do two big elements would not be doable. And we'll just see kind of how it impacts the schedule.
Can we bring the other one? And if we don't get to it or don't have time for it, then, we'll just move it as opposed to not having it available in case, we want to look at it.
I'd
or
like
have
to hear your
questions on it.
presentation is what he's trying to say.
He's trying to get out of it, right?
Two,
Whichever,
and
right?
I just think
next
with the
council
other
meeting,
thing,
so
I think
we're-
that's just a lot because I will tell you I think there are other things in environmental stewardship like climate change, resiliency. The council's going to want to chew on as well. So I'm trying not to overwhelm the council because I think you got a lot of other things coming with the budget, which is why I'm like, if we want to take time and walk through this, I'm okay with that. It probably will save my staff a lot of stress if we just kind of march through it in a more systematic way. But if the council wants me to do them both,
Can you send us that packet so we can start reviewing it now for when we do put it onto a future? I mean, even if it's not the next meeting, that way we can, once we get through this one, we can just start right into the next one.
yeah, we're working frantically to try to get it finished. So if we can get it pushed off, it might help us a little bit to finalize it. And as soon as we have it ready, we will send it out to you guys.
There's the real truth.
Yeah, we're struggling too. We're struggling to do it because we don't want to do it in a way we just throw
No, we.
bad work at you guys.
appreciate
At the,
Yeah, we
at the
don't-
council, we're a bad habit of that. We want to be thoughtful in that process too. So we're okay if the council is like, we can take a little bit more time. We're okay with that approach too.
Councilmember Baldwin.
I really appreciate everybody's concerns and everything that they're bringing up. I think it's important as a council that we do that instead of just taking whatever is thrown at us. At the same time, I also say, thank you, Jason. I look at this packet. I looked at your matrix. I don't know how you do it. It's so much information. It is so much to think about and look at. And I know that you spend lots and lots of time on this. And I know you do honor the council's wishes. And so I know you're trying to find ways to just be creative. And so we do appreciate you very much. So I thank you so much. And sorry that we give you a hard time. It's just because we are accountable to the people. So, but I do want to say we appreciate you. Thank you.
And I'd be remiss if I said I did this all myself. I did.
And
To
everybody involved.
Lauren Malinsky, who's our new planning manager, has taken the lead on this and doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Medi Brazel, who is our kind of acting senior planner, is the one that actually did the matrix. She sat down and went through every policy, every state law to put that matrix together. Kennedy Speets, who's our assistant planner, is also helping doing a lot of the data recovery and data research. So there's 4 of us over there working on it. And I will have to say, in my new role, most of it's coming from the planning staff. So while I am the mouthpiece, I will never take credit for all of their work. And so for the record, I will pass that along, and they're doing a lot of the heavy.
Yes, Lauren, Betty, and Kennedy, you said?
Medi.
Can we also
Maddie,
find
thank
out
you.
who seconded that table?
To table,
Aaron, Councilmember Davis, sorry.
Councilmember Fullerton.
And who voted no?
No's were Baldwin and Fullerton.
So I just was, since we're tabling it and you're going to take, or we're all going to take more time to look at this, I just wanted to, Jason really helped me today with this matrix that goes from 330 to, or 321 to 338. From 334 on down, if you look at the blank sections on the right-hand side, then all of the new stuff that the state has added and that the county or region has added is all in these. And so it's a lot. I just thought it would help. It helped me to kind of minimize all of the reading that I needed to do, because then I can just go, okay, these are the changes. We didn't have policy, so there's nothing on the right-hand side. So this is all brand new stuff. And there is a ton of brand new stuff. There's like 3 or 4 pages here. There's 4 pages of all brand new stuff that's been added. So that's where my concerns came when I'm looking at all of the new things that have to be implemented into our codes and policies. So that's just a good place to start when you're kind of going through this massive 300-page thing. Thank you so much for the matrix. I really appreciate it, and your staff, just amazing. And that really helped me to kind of narrow down where my concerns were, what I needed to focus my concerns on. And now I understand detached single unit.
And if anybody wants to meet with us, please let me know, and we will set up time to have one-on-one conversations with council. We know there's lots here. So if any council wants that, please reach out to me and we'll get that scheduled as quick as possible.
Thank you. And with no further business, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Are you going?
Yes.
Are you going?
I have to go double check. The first I've heard of it.
We're going to be coming back.
I know, I don't know what time we're thinking.
I have that it gets out at 5, but